On today's show, women encourage other women to get hooked on fishing, to draw trout streams along Lake Superior.
Nice.
We document a spring ritual in the Grouse Woods alongside a photographer who never misses a beat. And we go back in time with Minnesota's birch bark canoe maker.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hi everybody, Bill and I welcome you to the show.
Upburst spring fishing along the North Shore.
For more than a century, anglers have logged long hours fly fishing in search of migrating trout.
Trout that leave Superior and enter the tributaries to make new trout.
Not long ago, I caught up with an all-women's group that encourages other women to get hooked on steelhead fishing.
I'm ready. Even have my special fly fishing shirt on.
You want to dress the part to witness the epic life cycle of steelhead trout. For decades, the spawning migration of steelhead on Minnesota's North Shore has lured many fishermen to spend long hours wading and casting the rushing waters of the Baptism River. But on this day, the scenery is changing. Today, women anglers are discovering the excitement and challenge of catching steelhead trout.
Right now what we're looking for are any fish that are kind of laying on that gravel. Sometimes they'll just kind of be cruising around there. There's lots of fish in it, it's beautiful. It's a great river to fish, especially to learn because it allows you to have that room you need as far as learning how to fly cast.
Room you'll need, as steelhead trout are notorious fighters.
They're pure muscle.
Yeah.
So they're pretty aggressive. You gotta be on your toes.
Keep it tight, keep it tight, keep it tight.
This current really helps them feel bigger.
Nice.
The little guy, cute.
Beautiful.
Oh, he's ready to go.
It's a contagious pursuit. Catch one and you're hooked.
Gone in a blink of an eye.
But the goal here isn't to outfish the guys. These ladies have different goals in mind.
To encourage women to get out onto the rivers and give them that confidence and that skill set so they feel comfortable while they're doing it and to be able to be independent.
That mission gave Lisa Murphy an idea to start a fly fishing classroom for women only.
Women on the Fly is a program about educating, informing, and inspiring other women to get them more involved in the migratory trout and salmon fishery here on the North Shore. At the time, there weren't very many resources for women, and after a couple of years of doing it myself, I realized there's not a whole lot that's difficult about it. It's just a matter of learning. You have to get out there and learn, but if we can help kind of soften that learning curve for women by offering clinics, offering other resources, and get them out there a little quicker, then that's what we need to do.
The word spread quickly.
I actually haven't really known a lot of people when I first wanted to learn how to fly fish, and then all of a sudden I heard of Women on the Fly, and first time I hooked up to a steelhead, that did it. I was hooked.
And that's what Women on the Fly are here to do. Help other women have success on the water.
Hooked up again with a little trout. Let's let this little guy go. There you go, buddy. All right, let's get a bigger one now. It's exciting. I mean, big or small, it's really exciting. It's a good feeling.
In a nutshell, it's women encouraging other women to get outdoors.
People like to have that connection, and those clinics bring that. And it's really fun to see. Take that time for yourself and go throw a couple drifts. You might not catch anything, but for me, I don't know, it's just peaceful, easy to do. You can't beat it. You just can't beat it.
Coming up next, Matt Soberg hunters down to share in a rarely seen spring scene.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers, by The Yard maintenance-free outdoor furniture, Running Aces Casino, Hotel and Racetrack, and by Aluma Craft Boats.
Plenty of people dream of leaving their day jobs behind to follow their outdoor passion. Travis Frank met one man who did just that.
Before most of Minnesota's corporate world wakes up, Matt Soberg is already busy on the job. Hiding in a blind surrounded by young aspen trees, he hopes to photograph a spring spectacle. Like clockwork, his bird arrives. Ruffed grouse mate each spring. Males drum to attract their mates.
He's trying to make as much noise as he can to try to attract the ladies. His wings go so fast it makes like a mini sonic boom. And that's the drumming sound you hear. It's almost like an old tractor starting up.
Beat after beat, the engine sound revs, and Matt's fascination with this wild bird grows.
To me, it's a lot like grouse hunting. It's a big challenge. It's like hunting with a camera. It just feels good to sort of conquer that challenge and get in close.
These photos are pieces to Matt's bigger picture.
It's kind of a crazy story. I was actually a lawyer for 6 years. And when I turned 30, I had what I call a young life crisis and decided I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life.
He left the courtroom and followed his heart to the forest.
Grew up hunting grouse, and I've just kind of grew up with a big respect for the ruffed grouse and for grouse hunting traditions.
That respect and his wealth of wildlife knowledge opened the door to a new career at the Ruffed Grouse Society.
The Ruffed Grouse Society is a national conservation organization. We're the grouse version of Pheasants Forever, and it was started in 1961. And the Ruffed Grouse Society creates healthy forests that benefit all types of forest wildlife. Grouse rely on young forests. Is essentially perfect for grouse and woodcock. That's what we're looking for. The only way to create young forests like this is you have to disturb the forest, either by forest fires, by tornadoes, or by what we call scientific forest management. And that means going into the forest and cutting some trees down so that once you do that, the forest grows up quickly and ends up like you see behind me. And this is this bird's main drumming log. In the spring, essentially, this is this bird's throne. And it's surreal to see a grouse, to sit there and actually take pictures and video of him for hours in the spring when you only see them for a glimpse in the fall.
In his basement office, today's drummer becomes a possible cover model for the next issue of the Ruffed Grouse Society magazine.
That'll probably end up in the magazine.
A magazine that Matt pumps out with each changing season.
I'm a bird nerd. Woodcock, grouse, pheasants, anything like that. I like to hunt them, I like to write about them, I like to take pictures of them.
And he likes to speak on their behalf to protect them.
We want to preserve our sporting traditions for grouse and woodcock hunters for future generations.
A simple conservation message driven by a bird lover with a high-level legal degree.
People have actually told me that I'm crazy. Probably shouldn't say this, but you don't get rich working for a nonprofit, but you do it because you love it. You feel like you're making a difference, and you're able to chase your passion and do what you really love to do every day. That's what I do.
Not to worry
Still ahead, we get wild in the kitchen. And later, we go back in time with a Minnesota-bound classic all about birch bark canoes.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Maple Grove Lock and Safe, your premier Liberty safe dealer.
It's officially crappie season, and we are getting wild in the kitchen today with Chef Kevin from Firelight Grillhouse and Cocktail Bar. And Chef Kevin, it looks like we are going global today. What are we making?
We sure are. We're doing a coconut curry with some crappie.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
All right, what are we going to do to get started?
Well, first we're going to make our curry base. All right, Laura, first we're going to chop some garlic, but first I want to show you a quick little trick that I like.
Okay.
And first, you just basically put your rest of your knife right on the garlic, and then you're going to slap it.
Oh, wow.
And then you can just run your knife right through it.
Seems a little dangerous.
A little bit, yeah, if your knife was
I'm
up.
living on the wild side.
That's right. All right, Laura, so grab the onion. We're just going to dump that right in. And go ahead and grab the jalapeno. Then we can add the sweet potato and that smashed garlic. If you want to just push that onto the knife and bring that over.
How long do we sweat the veggies?
We just want to wait till the onions start to get a little translucent. We don't want to brown the garlic necessarily. So we're going to add some of our tomato paste and curry paste. And right when it starts to almost just start to caramelize a little bit, we're going to add some white wine. Next, we're going to add these three things: the fish sauce, a little bit of cumin, and ginger.
Lots of flavor in this dish.
And then the last but not least, we're going to do the little chicken stock. All right, now the coconut cream.
So delicious, my favorite.
While our stew is cooking, the curry, we're going to bread our fish, our crappies. So go ahead, we're going to add some cornstarch, a giant tablespoon of turmeric, and that is chili powder. It's going to get some nice heat. And then we've got coriander, which is really nice and floral. These are just a little moist and wet, so the breading is going to stick right to it.
Well, someone had a good day in the fishing boat with all of these crappies.
Right.
You have to if you're going to get a meal out of it.
Well, luckily they bite.
And you mentioned even if the crappies have the bones left, those will just dissolve down, correct?
Yeah, the little ones, yeah. Any of the larger ones that you can pull out of there. But, you know, I'm not too worried or concerned when the fillets are this small. So go ahead and grab the fish. Bring those over.
Okay.
And would you like me to put them in?
I'll give it a try.
All right.
We're living on the wild side today.
That's right. It's dangerous. So go ahead and place the fish on this handy dandy
that
little.
Took less than 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, this at 350 degrees is going to cook in no time.
Little bites of sweetness right here.
So I think we're ready.
Sounds good to me.
You want to invert that rice onto the bowl?
Okay.
I'll grab our curry. Oh, wonderful.
How beautiful is
Perfect. Now if you want to throw just a few of those crappies on there.
Cool down.
Yep.
Have along the edge.
Yeah, however you like. I'm going to chop some cilantro here and some mint.
All right, Chef Kevin, is it tasting time?
Yeah, let's do it.
So excited. I love curry.
All right.
Now this is wildly delicious.
Not too spicy?
Not at all.
Awesome.
So there you have it. Global cuisine with Minnesota crappies. Nothing better. Nice job.
You too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Up next, the classic art of shaping birch bark. We go back in time with Ron Sharon.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Kinetico, Mountain Dew, Radco Truck Accessories, BentCreek Golf Course, and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Up next, we go way back in time with Ron Shera to far northern Minnesota.
To the town of Effie, where Ron met Minnesota's birch bark canoe maker.
Sometimes in America, free enterprise looks just like it should. This is Bill Hafman's Boat Works, founded 1921 and still a-going. But if time ever stands still, it might be inside. Birch bark canoes are made here, made by hand, just as they were 500 years ago.
So this here is just a birch bark. These are all cut to shape.
Canoe maker Ray Bozell took over the business in 1981, a few years before Hafman, his mentor, and his wife's grandfather passed away.
And the first two I made, my wife taught me on. And then after that, I worked for 3 years with Bill, and then he took early retirement at age 85.
But nothing else about birch bark canoes has changed much.
So it takes a lot of looking to find the right bark that you need for the canoe. So it's really amazing stuff. I mean, it's a lot stronger than what it looks like.
To sew the birch bark pieces together, Bozell gathers roots from spruce trees in nearby swamps and keeps them wet in the Big Fork River, his backyard testing grounds.
But I kind of like the swamp. I'm kind of a strange person, I guess. The mosquitoes don't normally bother you in the swamp if you pick roots fast enough. They think you're crazy. They won't bite you.
It'll take 8 hours of stripping and splitting the roots to make 500 feet of bindings, enough to finish a 16-foot canoe.
But you feel that there, that's still flexible enough so that you can wrap around the gunwales.
In an average year, Bozell will make about 15 canoes, each selling for about $2,000. And each is an original, its parts and pieces formed by hand tools older than the canoe builder himself. A cedar log is split and split again.
What I have to get down to first is how wide I want my ribs and my lining. And so I keep splitting it in a pie shape like this until I get what I want for thickness that way.
It's also delicate handwork.
So this here would be 2 ribs here now.
Bozell says he works about 80 hours to complete a canoe, yet part of the process, making canoe ribs, seems more like a magical act.
And what I do is I leave the ribs wider in the center so that they have some beef for holding the shape of the canoe.
And he never measures a rib.
Yeah, mostly just eyeball everything. That's all they had to begin with, too. They didn't have Stanley rules and micrometers and stuff like that, so it's just kind of get to where it looks right, and there's a rib. Just that easy.
Eventually, all of the assembled parts, the bark, ribs, and cedar gunnels, are lashed together with spruce root. Canoe number 205 is about to come off the assembly line.
This is what holds the whole canoe together, is the roots here. No nails or glue whatsoever, and it's just all held together by the black spruce roots.
There's even a guarantee. If the roots ever break, he'll redo the bindings for nothing. Lastly, Bozell's idea of quality control is to take a test paddle.
I've had guys that come in, they want me to mass produce them and stuff, and they would sell them for me. I said, well, I don't want to do that.
But when you make birch bark canoes and live history every day, fame and fortune is not in the company plan.
This way I make enough to make a living for my family and keeps me happy.
That and a river to paddle away.
A classic art form documented by Ron.
Well, that about does it for us. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433. To get more Minnesota Bound, including full episodes, go to mnbound.com. And to follow our latest adventures, like us on Facebook.